Today, we're getting sexy. Arr. I can't growl, that wasn't sexy at all. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. Today, I want to talk about sexual polarity in relationships. Yes, this is the hot topic. I've been talking a lot about masculine and feminine energies in most of my videos, but I realized I haven't really gone in depth as to what that means as far as sexual polarity. If you don't know what I mean by masculine and feminine energies, I have a lot of videos on this topic, but just a quick breakdown. Masculine and feminine energies are energies that live within all of us. We all contain both energies, but we all have a core energy. That's the energy that we are most ourselves in, and that may link up with our gender. It very often does, but it doesn't have to. But we all have both energies that we can tap into when we need to at any given point in our lives. We can be in healthy or wounded versions of either of these energies, and these energies also contain different archetypes within them. And we all contain all of the archetypes, and we can tap into each of them whenever we want to, but we can also be in healed or wounded versions of each of the archetypes. And I have a lot of videos discussing all of these topics. But I wanted to actually discuss what that means as far as a romantic relationship. Now, ideally, as an individual person, you want to have a healthy connection with both your masculine and your feminine energies. But you also want to know what your core energy is, and you want to spend the majority of your time in that core energy, because that is going to be the energy that really revives you, that you are most yourself in. And when you come together with a partner, ideally you want your partner's core energy and the energy that they are in the most to be a healthy version of the opposite of your core energy. So for example, if you are masculine at your core, ideally you can have a good connection with both your masculine and your feminine energies, but you want to spend the majority of your time in your masculine energy, which means your ideal partner would be someone who is feminine at their core, who has a healthy relationship with their feminine energy, but can also tap into a healthy version of their masculine energy when needed. And the reason for that is because in order to have sexual polarity or to have sexual attraction in a relationship, you need one partner to embody the masculine and one partner to embody the feminine. And this is really regardless of gender, although it very often does link up to your gender. The majority of men, and this is statistics, I didn't create these statistics, so don't shoot the messenger, but the majority of men tend to be masculine at their core and the majority of women tend to be feminine at their core. So very often when you see couples who tend to just be friends but don't have that sexual attraction to each other, that usually means that both partners are in the same energy. We've all seen couples where both people are in their masculine energy. That's very common nowadays. Those are the couples that usually are super competitive with each other, that treat each other kind of more like bros than actual like romantic partners. And when you get couples who are like both in their feminine energy, that's when you get couples who tend to be more almost like girlfriends, you know what I mean? Like they tend to be very, like they can share all their feelings and everything, but yet they don't actually like want to rip each other's clothes off, you know what I mean? And one of the problems we have in our current society now, which, and I've talked about this in a few other videos, I kind of believe this is by design. Who's designing it? I don't know. Depends on which conspiracy theory hat I want to put on that day. But I do believe that there is sort of a greater power that is at work here. A lot of people have different theories as to what it is, whether it's a spiritual war or a deep state or something like that. I don't know what it is. There's people out there that have done a lot more research on this topic than me. But if you want to destroy a society, the best way to do it is to destroy the way that men and women interact with each other, because you really need healthy masculine energy and healthy feminine energy to come together and to create union and to create future generations. I mean, that's how a society grows and that's how it thrives. So if you want to destroy a society, well, destroying masculine and feminine energy is the way to do it. And I actually have videos where I talk about the concept of the war in masculinity and what I believe is a war in femininity. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but I am going to say that we as a society, whoever the powers that be are, definitely the media, but whoever's controlling the media, has a real push to have women be in their masculine energy. We praise women who are in their masculine energy. And some women thrive in that energy, but many women actually find it draining. Even those who don't want to fully admit that they find it draining, they tend to find it draining. And that's where you get a lot of women that end up in a very wounded masculine state. We have an epidemic of women who are in a very wounded connection to their masculine energy. That said, we also have a society where we tend to praise men who are in their feminine energy. We push men into this sort of idea of being in the feminine energy and suppressing all of their masculine qualities, their healthy masculine qualities. And they either end up in a very wounded feminine state or they end up in a very wounded masculine state. I actually think that wounded feminine energy in men is actually rampant. It is a huge, huge phenomenon. So here's the thing, because opposites tend to attract, if you were a woman who is in a very wounded place with her masculine energy because she's been pushed into it, it's been overused, she has a really unhealthy connection to that masculine energy, she probably resents being in it. Even if she doesn't know that she resents it, she can very often resent it because she feels like she doesn't have a choice, and will sometimes even convince herself that she wants to be in the masculine because she's never felt safe enough to be in her feminine energy, right? And again, this isn't all women, but there are a lot of women that are in this situation. They're gonna tend to attract, because opposites attract, they're gonna tend to attract men in wounded feminine energy. And that is where you get the phenomenon of like the controlling, nagging wife and the weak and passive husband. Now, obviously things can flip, and you do have a lot of men who are in a very wounded state with their masculine energy. That's very aggressive. That's what I would personally refer to as toxic masculinity. It's not assertive. It's not that really healthy, grounded place of protection. It's that aggressive, demeaning, controlling, abusive, like that kind of energy. And they tend to link up with wounded feminine women because opposites attract. Wounded feminine energy tends to show up more as self-harming activities, which is one of the reasons why they get attracted to abusers and things like that. It shows up as, you know, addiction problems and, you know, low self-worth, people pleasing, which is why they end up partnering with unhealthy masculine energy. So that's where you lead to a lot of wounding. Now, once couples get into this dynamic, it's really hard to get out of, and it really takes one partner to really say, I want to step up and heal. Like, I posted a video on TikTok recently showing Carrie Bradshaw and when she was with Aiden, and Aiden very much, if you're familiar with that show, very much embodied a lot of feminine energy. Carrie embodied a lot of wounded masculine energy in that relationship. I see a lot of women who are like, oh my God, I wish I had an Aiden, I wish I had an Aiden. Because those kind of guys tend to look really nice on the surface, right? They're the nice guys, they're the sweet guys. And I'm not bashing Aiden at all. I think Aiden was, you know, was a great character. And given the chance with a feminine woman, I believe that a character like Aiden probably would have stepped into more of a masculine role, because I do think that he wanted to be in that role. And he didn't have an unhealthy relationship to his masculine or feminine energy, which is key. And this is actually one of the reasons why I think men get really confused about relationships, because I think men kind of get told that they need to be like the nice guy, which ends up being much more passive, and they end up in a lot of wounded feminine energy. It's not like a healthy place where they're just in touch with their emotions, but it tends to be like they become a doormat being the nice guy, right? And women who are in their feminine, they don't want to connect with a man like that, because they want to be in their feminine energy. They don't want a guy who is embodying the feminine energy all the time. That said, a lot of women end up going for sort of like the macho jerk, because while he's embodying a very unhealthy version of masculine energy, she's like, well, at least it's masculine energy. I mean, women aren't actually saying this out loud. I mean, conscious women are, but if you're conscious, you probably wouldn't be doing this. But sometimes it's just, well, at least it's masculine energy. It's not good masculine energy, but like at least it's good enough. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important for men to connect with a healthy version of their masculine energy. It's also incredibly important for women to create a healthy relationship with their own inner feminine energy, because that way they know how to discern when a man is in healthy masculine energy. Because if a woman can't be in her own healthy feminine energy, she's not going to be able to attract a man in healthy masculine energy. And she's also going to very easily fall for one of the other two extremes, which are not really ever going to satisfy her. And I talk about that a lot more in another video. Now, there are people who believe that people need to be in sexual polarity in a relationship all the time. There is a philosophy that like you always need to constantly be in sexual polarity in order to make a relationship work. I'm kind of the thinking that life happens, and there's some times when you're going to need to be in the same energy as your partner, and there's going to be times when sexual polarity is off. However, the key is how easily can you then return to your energy. There's going to be times when, you know, as a parent, when a couple has children, there's going to be times when both parents just need to be in whatever energy is appropriate for the child in that moment. Some couples who say run a business together, or even just running a household, there's times when you may both need to say be in your masculine energy. There's times when it's just a really emotional time when, as a couple, you're going through a lot of emotions and you both just need to be in your emotions and you both need to be in your feminine energy. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you both know your way back into your core energies, and your core energies are opposite, because if your core energies aren't opposite to begin with, then the relationship is just kind of done. So say, for example, when you're in your emotions, and you're emotional, you tend to be in your feminine energy, right? So say you have a man who is a masculine cord being. He's in his masculine energy the majority of the time, and he's attracted a very feminine cord partner, and she spends the majority of her time in her feminine energy. So say you have this couple and the man goes through something. Who knows what it is, something that gets him really emotional, and he needs to release his emotions, which is a human quality. We all need to release emotions sometimes. So he starts getting really emotional and he steps into his feminine energy and needs to cry or release emotions somehow. If he has a healthy connection with his feminine energy, he can do that. He can take that moment and he can do that in a healthy way, whatever his healthy release is. And ideally, his feminine partner will have a healthy connection with her masculine energy, and she can then step in and hold the container for him. She can maybe physically hold him, or just simply hold space for him, or basically maybe even just give him a little bit of space, whatever it is that he needs in that moment that feels like it provides a safe container for him to express those emotions. And as long as he's in a healthy connection with his masculine and feminine energies, he should, after releasing that, he should be very easily able to then shift back into his masculine energy. And his feminine partner will then be able to shift back into her feminine energy, and they'll have sexual polarity again. In the same way that, say, a feminine partner may have some kind of, maybe for her career or her life or something, maybe she runs a business, she may need to, during her day, she may need to shift into her masculine energy. She may be in her masculine energy. She may come home in her masculine energy. But if it's a healthy connection to her masculine energy and she comes home and she now can then step into her own natural core energy of being in her feminine energy, she can then relax into her feminine energy and be with her masculine partner, and they have sexual polarity again. That shift can happen in a relationship as long as people know how to find their way back to their natural core energies and then have sexual polarity. And by sexual polarity, I mean sexual attraction. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to be having sex all the time. That's obviously a personal choice for couples to figure out how often they actually are having sexual activities, but I'm talking about sexual attraction. And obviously, if you want to be sexually attracted to your partner the majority of the time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be ripping each other's clothes off all the time, because most people's lives don't allow that to happen. But it's just a matter of having that physical attraction to your partner. And provided that you keep that sexual polarity in a relationship and you grow closer, because honestly, feminine energy tends to, the longer that they're with a partner, as long as they have a masculine partner who's holding a safe space for them, the more the feminine will open up. So this idea that relationships lose sexual attraction over time, it's really that people are stepping out of their natural core energies. The man maybe stepped into too much of his feminine energy, spent too much time in his feminine energy. That can happen when men get very depressed or fall into addiction problems. And then now the feminine core partner feels like they have to be in their masculine energy because someone has to embody the masculine in the relationship in order to keep the structure. So then her resentment builds up, and she may then start to become wounded in her masculine energy and will probably end up taking it out on her partner. And he's now embodying his feminine energy. He's probably feeling a lot of low self-worth, and he's going to start to resent her for being upset with him. And that's when a lot of resentment builds. And like, that's usually when relationships start to deteriorate. And that's when the sexual attraction tends to deteriorate. When couples can maintain that sexual polarity and that sexual attraction to each other, they're much more likely to keep that attraction, and that attraction is more likely to build over time as opposed to just falling away, because feminine energy tends to increase sexual attraction and increase a level of sexual experimentation the longer that they're with a masculine partner who creates a safe space for them. Because really what is stopping most feminine core beings from being fully connected with their sexual energy is their societal shame. There's a lot of things, but really it's a lack of having a safe space. And the beauty of healthy masculine energy is that it creates a safe space for feminine energy to thrive. In the same way that feminine energy, because it's the energy of abundance, it's the energy of manifestation, it's the energy of magnetism, that can help the masculine, which tends to be more rigid and structured. It can help them flourish in life. That's why masculine and feminine energies work so well together as a couple. There's sexual polarity, yes, that's huge, but there's so many other ways that they complement each other. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions or want me to do a more in-depth video about any of the topics that I mentioned, I have a few video ideas coming. Any topic ideas, things you'd like me to talk about, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. I love your suggestions. I share a lot more little clips and information about some of these topics on my social media channels, especially Instagram and TikTok, so be sure you follow me. The links will be in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and be sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.